you just saw, Robert Alchala, who is a criminal defense attorney here in New York, also Javier Amador, who is a clinical psychologist. I mean, just so much happened there. It's really unbelievable. I guess, I mean, the first question has to be, there it is. It's on tape. I mean, how do you deal with that as a defense attorney? Where do you go?
Well, it is very disturbing, no doubt. It is very violent. But I think the tape also does help the defense because it is so disturbing. And what you really want is you want the jurors thinking, wow, that is such an incredible thing that we've just seen. We are so disturbed. It can't just be about that videotape. It has to be about what led up to the circumstances surrounding his background, her background, the family background. Why did this happen? So as much as prosecutors think that this may be the be-all and end-all videotape that proves their case, I think that in certain ways it touches emotions in jurors that could favor the defense.
Yeah, I think it's important for our viewers to understand that oftentimes I think defense attorneys are demonized because you get a tape like this and people are wondering how a defense attorney could even stand in defense of a guy like this who commits this type of act, in plain view. But the deal is, we have to know what's going on inside his head when he commits the act. That's what the law is about, and there are provisions for that in the law. So, Dr. Amador, I want to ask you, what possibly could be going through a guy's head who commits an act like that on tape?
Well, I have to comment on the cameraman's comment. The man's psychotic.
Right.
And jurors are going to see that, and I think have that same reaction that Bob was just talking about. What's going through his head, again, I said this earlier, I think really blind fury, where emotion is absolutely overcoming any judgment. That's the most likely hypothesis I have. I mean, just from looking at that tape. If it's premeditated, then there should be some evidence of that. There should be evidence that he talked about it, that he had the gun on his person. Apparently he went back to the car to get the gun. These things don't add up to premeditation in my mind, sitting here. To me, they add up more to impulse problems or impulse control problems, which he has a long history of.
Sure. One of the things that sticks out in my mind about that tape, and many of our viewers may not have noticed it, it only came to me after watching it many times, was how adept he was with the gun. I mean, this looked like a guy who is not unfamiliar with the use of a gun to a certain degree. I mean, he was very comfortable pulling that trigger.
Let me tell you my take on that.
Okay,
my
absolutely.
take was that the first time I noticed the gun was about, pardon me, like this far from the guy's head.
Okay.
I mean, from the victim's head.
Right.
And to me, it doesn't take a whole lot. I mean, maybe he knows how much it takes to pull the trigger,
right.
But he didn't have to be a marksman. I mean, this was something where he moved towards his target, he held the gun right up against him, pop, 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 pop. So, again, to do
what
it
about that aspect? What about the aspect of him standing over the body, right. Pumping another 11 shots into the body?
I was just going to comment on that because that's yet another piece of evidence about blind fury. Retribution and blind fury. He blamed her for his daughter's death. He blamed her for the abuse of his daughter, and why so many shots? That can't be accounted for by premeditation.
Necessary.
She's clearly dead after the first shot or second.
Can I go back and just defend my profession for a second?
Quickly, please do.
And this is why defense attorneys are essential in the system. Because if you just look at the tape, you say open and shut case.
Absolutely.
But if you knew about his history, all the things he had gone through, the head injuries and all that his daughter was suicidal, she killed herself, his wife was to blame for that, in this man's mind. If you go through all these different things, if you go through all the steps he took in terms of contacting the police to try to get his ex-wife, the decedent, prosecuted, and her then husband prosecuted, how he threatened to go to the media, followed up, and was having success with the media. I mean, he was kind of succeeding in looking for his own justice. If you know all these things, it gives you a completely different picture of the video. And that's not done with smoke and mirrors. That's real life.
That's true. So we're going to talk a little bit more about his background and find out how that plays into this case with Dr. Amador here as well. That's a great opportunity to do that. We have to take a quick break, but I did want to give you one reminder. We are having a chat on our website, www.courttv.com. We're having a chat tonight with the toughest sheriff in America.